As a corporate leader, I see a need for this into, the future of our systems and structures. We need to, lean into more precise and aware business growth and development.
Welcome to Flow Network's Roundtable. It's our first one back in a number of years, and it feels so good to be here with all of you today. I'm really excited for the topic of our conversation, which is the rise of yin in business and leadership. And of course, this yin, this feminine energy is within each one of us inside, but also we'll talk today about how that feels in the world out there as well. But before you meet these beautiful people, we're going to do something, because everybody here knows Human Garage and fascial maneuvers. We have the co-founder, Aisha, here. We have coaches here. Tim, my co-founding partner, has been doing fascial maneuvers with me. Something I love that the Human Garage does is something called a sync up. And Sam has offered to do that. And audience, we'd love for you to join us. This is an amazing experience. So Sam, let's do the sync up.
Yeah, so wherever you are, whether you're sitting or standing, we're just going to do something really simple. We're going to take our right leg or foot, if you're standing, and you're going to cross it over your left. And then you're going to take your right hand, bring it underneath your left armpit, and your left hand will come over on top of your right shoulder. We're just going to turn our head to the left. And then your upper body is going to come to the right. So you're kind of twisted up here. And then we'll take 3 breaths through the mouth and 3 breaths through the nose. So we'll inhale through the mouth. 2, 3. Through the nose. Out the mouth. 2. And last one, big breath. And then slowly come back to center. Now we are all synced up together. We have this coherent vibration. Thank you for joining us in that. And I'll pass it back to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sam. Welcome, Joanne. We're glad you could make it. I know you had some tech issues, but we're here, and that was beautiful. Sam, thank you. I love how that just syncs up our energy and brings us into a coherent space to just have a flowing conversation. So this is just meant to flow, but I thought before we get into that dynamic, if we just want to each go around and just share a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what's alive for you with this conversation today. Aisha, do you want to start first?
Sure, thank you. I'm Aisha Rodriguez, co-founder of Human Garage and some other fun things. Currently in Cancun, Mexico, just landing from Egypt. A lot of things are alive. I think especially the things going on inside my body at the moment. I think being in Egypt required a lot of an upgrade, physical, mentally, in all things. And my body's still detoxing, which it hasn't happened in 5 years. So I feel actually excited and happy about it because it's uncomfortable, but it feels so good. So that is quite a life, to be honest.
That sounds like something Tim would say.
Oh my God, when you're sweating cold and being am I all gonna have to cold for an hour? Am I gonna be able to stay here? But at the same time, it's amazing how the body just knows what to do. So that's what it's alive.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being here. I know you literally just landed, so you're still adjusting to the time zones and everything. So
yeah.
Thank you. I'm so excited for you to be here. And with the fresh energy of Egypt, who Joanne you're in Egypt still, so you're still vibrating that energy there.
Yeah.
Wow, Joanna, please, Joanne, introduce yourself a little bit and what's alive for you.
Hi, I'm Joanne Sevier, everyone. I was a 33-year Army officer, senior officer, and then turned yogi, meditation teacher, and now a coach with Human Garage. Thanks, Aisha. What a fabulous week. What's literally alive for me is roaming through the temples and the mythology and the culture here in Egypt is the excitement of the emergence of the divine feminine to bring order to chaos. I think it's necessary now in the world more than ever. And the energy of this place and the ancient wisdom is just, it does take a while to integrate. And I'm thrilled to have Human Garage practices to help me do that. Thank you, Aisha, and everyone. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mark, welcome from Puerto
Thank you.
Rico down there.
That's
Tell
right.
us a little bit about yourself and what's alive for you in this conversation.
Sure. So I have a background. My mission is to help better people and planet. My background is in different professional capacities in human health. I've worked in clinic and functional neurology and been a part of some other functional medical businesses. And most recently, I was leading a nutrition company, plant-based organic food manufacturer and company on a mission to fix the food system. And I'm now in the midst of a transition out of that role and company. And I've now a Human Garage coach in training and really honored to be a part of this awesome community and looking to collaborate with other wellness focused businesses that interconnect both planet health. I have a background in regenerative agricultural design and trying to implement that into the human health systems, whether it be through food or land stewarding, etc. And regarding this conversation, this topic is personal to myself and my own journey of pushing through pain as an athlete and constantly trying to perform and potentially do more and being forced to learn maybe the hard way or painful way or leaning into some of these painful learning lessons, which informed me of the necessity to listen more, to be more deliberate and precise with my energy, and to lean into the soft with the hard, the slow with the fast, and to find that synergy that related to physical practices, but also as a corporate leader, I see a need for this into, the future of our systems and structures in that regard, as we need to, lean into more precise and aware business growth and development and leadership rather than this constant pursuant of producing more, as we're learning that, what the consequences of that are.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Thank you for being here and thank you for sharing that. Sam.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I kind of come from a little bit of more of the energetic background as a Reiki master and now a fascial maneuvers coach. And really, I'm passionate about bringing the two of those together because I've just seen a lot of people time and time again where they're just completely disembodied. And so what I'm really passionate about is allowing people, teaching people how to come back home to their body. And, of course, as we all know, that through the maneuvers and through intention and these techniques that we can really work with, we come back to what the body and the wisdom has. So that's kind of where I really like to be the bridge. But what's alive for me right now is cultivating my energy in a way that says I'm going to pour it completely directly into the thing that is not only going to be beneficial for me, but it's going to be beneficial for the whole. And I think that's where this conversation that I'd like to start is a little bit more about personal power and just kind of the nuances and the beliefs that we can have around that. So yeah, that's what's alive in me.
Beautiful. I love that. And last but not least, Tim, co-founder of Flow Network. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. I am in semi-retirement, coming out likely to coincide with 2027, go forward. And my background is a combination of being an artist, so I was a singer-songwriter for a number of years, and I was also a performance consultant. We had our own consulting company, and we helped businesses, small, large, learn how to actually turn their businesses around. Usually we were the last call because we were really weird in how we actually did this. So I had a coach that I worked with for years who studied with the Maharishi. So we understood presence and we applied presence, but we had to actually fancy it all up so they didn't boot me out of the place. So I've been undercover for a very long time, doing things and engaging businesses and then people that are in my sphere, just with the idea of our purpose on life maybe is not to make as much money as we possibly can before we die, and instead maybe actually redistribute it in ways that are not particularly obvious right now relative to education, and then reboot business, I think, is likely what I'll be involved with in the upcoming years. That's about, I could go on forever, so I'll just stick it with that.
Okay, so I mean, this isn't a typical panel. I don't want to go and just ask questions and everyone go around and take your turn. So please allow this to be free flowing, and speak up when you feel called to direct the flow of this conversation. If somebody says something and it's alive for you, but maybe I'll kick it off with the first question and just ask, like, where are you actually feeling this shift in your life right now?
Personally feeling it.
Yeah, personally.
I think for me personally, I feel, in particular in this trip to Egypt, the strength that I developed as an Army officer, and like a lot of you shared, push through till my first open heart surgery, but now feeling the balance with the feminine side. And I felt, going through the various temples here in Egypt, just enormous strength in the softness, if that makes sense. So for me, it's very, very visceral feeling of the energy in my body in a soft, strong way, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Mark, I think you might be muted while Mark's figuring that out. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Can anyone feel that soft strength that Joanne was speaking to?
Yeah. I was going to mention that you asked that question around that soft strength. Where are you kind of feeling that in your body? Because I've been noticing a lot this, like I mentioned before, this power center, and we were talking about leadership and yin, right? But it comes back to this core that we have. And it's like a gathered up strength in a will that says, I'm not going to use this to take, I'm going to actually use it to fuel everyone around it. Like, where do you feel that in your body, Joanne?
For me personally, it was very evident in one of the temples, Hathor, which is the second chakra, the delight and pleasure. And I felt the right side of my brain literally on fire. And I was standing in front of a woman singing deep within the tombs. And then I came around the other side and was standing in front of another Egyptian man who was also singing. And I felt the other side of my brain light up. So I don't think, to me, I feel it viscerally in my body, but it's not about your gender. It's about rebalancing the masculine and feminine energies within all of us. So, and the story of Isis is she held Seth, who killed Osiris, still, and he was going to kill him, but she let him go because of compassion, and he was a brother. So it's not about destroying the masculine energy, but about rebalancing, bringing it back to balance on the planet. So I felt it in two hemispheres of my brain, personally. Yeah.
Amazing. Mark, are you back?
I believe I am. How's that sound? Yeah. No, I was kind of piggybacking off what Joanne was saying about the balance. And I think for me personally, I've got transition at this time to also align with more authenticity. And I think in a way you have to, for me, it's helpful to almost pull things away and find quietude in order to listen to what may be more authentically aligned as I move forward. And so I had to make change and create space for that professionally to allow myself the time to listen. And also the human garage practice consistently gave me a tool to connect internally and to mitigate some of that internal chaos and noise, find the order within the chaos. And I've had a lot of really profound experiences since giving myself that time, which have made it really obvious and have affirmed the decision to almost commit to that faith in a time in my life where people are asking me what I'm doing and, where I'm going and all the above. And it's helpful to have given myself the opportunity to kind of listen to what felt most aligned and called to me, and to have tools like fascial maneuvers daily to give me a little bit of experience. And it's almost like things have started to come to me in that essence rather than that I need to go toward them. And that's
So
the
beautiful.
cool
Yeah.
transition.
I love that. We often talk at Flow Network. And Mark, I don't know if you have headphones. There's a lot of static and you're a little bit echoey, so it's just a bit challenging. But yeah, we talk about that rise of yin and just pulling things towards us and not having to go and chase. And many of you noted that same theme as well. And speaking to the body, Aisha, I know you were going to jump in and you're really feeling it in the body right now. And Mark mentioning that quietude that's needed to be able to listen to the body and let everything rise. Do you want to share what you were going to say and speak to that?
Yeah. Yeah, like for me right now, it's very alive in the body. And even though, with the level of movement or requirements of movements that the last couple of months or years that I had as a requirement at the moment, to really notice the level of stillness that you can still cultivate within chaos, within movement, within everything happening. It has been quite interesting to navigate, but I do feel a big shift. Like, to give you an example, in the last 9 days, I took 9 planes.
Oh,
Wow.
One boat, multiple buses, in 9 days. So for that, for the body, for the energy, for the integration, for the food, for the time zone, for your hormones, for everything is how do I adapt to this? And I feel that is happening in everything right now. Like if last year we were going at 100 times faster than before, I feel this now energy just jump into like 400 times more. And kind of like a reinvention of self, it's happening. Whatever you want it or not, like you get to choose to participate in your own reinvention or it will happen. But like it already initiated. With all of the changes that are happening in the world, we have a beautiful choice of saying, do I get to create a new belief system? Do I get, or how do I create this beautiful relationship with change, with speed, with adaptability, with flow? And how do I still like that sovereign, like me, within my power, my boundaries, and have certainty of I'm not available for this. I am available for that. This doesn't fit in anymore. This doesn't belong here anymore. And that goes from people, belief systems, food, even the way you dress might want to change now. No. So I'm just noticing in myself and in my environment or the people I interact, a lot of almost no negotiables showing up saying, no, like this doesn't fit anymore, you know? And like almost if something was saying, are you willing to let go of what safety feels like? Or you have created a concept of safety, of success, of this identity, of that, for that great vision of the unknown and at the speed that the world is going without losing your center. I don't know. I don't know if that make any sense at all, but
Oh yeah,
that's
totally.
how it
Makes sense.
feels kind of like for me right now, a lot of that. And even, you know, questioning myself and being like, do I want to keep interacting this way with the world? And Sam, like going to what you were saying, like you just want to like fuel everything outside. For me, it's funny because I feel completely the opposite. For me, I'm like, I do not want to fuel, not even your mattress, like your match right now. Like, no. No, I actually want to, like, right now I'm feeling like I just want to, like, go, not contract, but go like, okay, 1 second, let me, you know, organize the thoughts. I need to decide on the changes, the identity, this, that, put things in order, kick some people and things out, and then, okay, new phase kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how it feels different for everybody.
Yeah, I love that you're speaking to that difference and where people are at in their journey. And do you guys hear me echoing as well?
It's Joanne. You can tell the little blue thing is highlighted when someone's speaking.
Okay, thank you. Because I think I'll mute Joanne for a second there. Okay. Yeah, there's a bit of an echo going. So I'm reading this book. I just found this book. It's a Celtic wisdom book, and it's so beautifully written. And he's a poet, and he's speaking to how we've lost the art of embracing the darkness, and that being the yin quality. And we have our daytime and we have our nighttime, but and the nighttime and the darkness and sleeping, but also that what Aisha's speaking to of like going inside, like our thoughts come from the darkness, like our whole internal world is completely dark. And I think in the yang world, everything was meant to be light and to go outside and to get things done. And like Tim was saying, just to make all the money and do all the things and climb. We have a model at Flow Network. Maybe Tim, you want to speak after, like just focus on going up. And we need to, most of the world, I think, Aisha, especially you being, I know that you're an emotional projector. So you would be amplifying and seeing heightened all the emotion that's up for people that they haven't been able to address in their darkness, in their inside of their body. And that edge that you're speaking to is so much about what this rise of yin, the rise of all the darkness within us that we, you know, didn't have a flashlight to look in with ourselves and to really listen to how that wants to change and what our authentic nature really is. And I think everyone in the world right now is exploring, like, who am I really? Like, what is it that I really want? And Tim, I know like you're in a place right now where you would love to, like, I'm going to Bali tomorrow and
Yes,
I'm in a
and
place of expansion, and he's like, I want to go, but go ahead.
I don't, well, I just don't, so I've been through the ringer, so to speak, for the last 7 years. And I just do not have the energy. And my new word right now, when Sarah asks me, how are you feeling? I go, I feel very neutral. Thank you. Because I've got such a hurricane going through me pretty much all the time, and more so, just more so as just every day. So this is an amazing thing. This is my stepping back into community. Thank you very much, everybody. This is my first back because I feel like I've been a hermit for the last year or so, but just recovering as a function of overwhelm, as a function of phenomena that I experienced, one of which was the death of my wife and all kinds of things. And Sarah was part of that whole thing. So there's 3 of us together. But for the most part, hardly anybody that I had counted on as being part of my community had any understanding of how to be energetically grounded and help with the grounding process. So I find this fascinating, and I just like Human Garage. This is fantastic stuff because this is so badly needed, and you all know that because you're on board with that. And I'd been talking with about, I mean, in simple terms, is the higher you reach, the more you need grounded. So we call this the pinky finger. We would use this phenomenon. I would actually do this all the time, to the point where some people that I thought loved me wanted to rip my pinky finger off. He says, "You put that in front of me one more time, I'm going to kill you," or rip it off. I said, well, the higher you go, every time you actually bump, it bumps at the bottom, and that density, density under pressure, is what you have to accommodate and become neutral in whatever fashion it is. That's presence or allowing, accepting, embracing, whatever it is that works for you. So I've been in my own little cocoon out here on the west coast of Canada, and just experiencing slowly getting back integrated into people and all those kinds of things, because I've been maxed out, which was quite a surprise or a shock to the degree to which I did get maxed out. I'm kind of feeling a much more, that's why I thought, hey, I'd love to participate in this. And I'm realizing, oh my God, this is more people than I've been around in the last year than I can remember. So I'd really appreciate just being witness to this. This is fabulous.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I can relate a little bit. Aisha's talking about going internal. And Tim, you're talking about this experience of just being so far in it in the last year. And I kind of relate to both of that. But I think, to your point, Aisha, you're like deciding all the things in which you don't want anymore, and all of it's being stripped away. And I think it's just like this ever going process. And we keep, in my mind, you're like listening to the astrology and all the things happening, and it's just like, okay, it's going to get better. And then it just gets worse, and then it gets worse. And it's all a matter of like perspective, right? How are you navigating all of the things? And for me, the last year and a half has just been such a portal of shedding, being like, okay, the identity that I was is like slowly just being, it's just not there anymore. But then I get to decide in every moment and every day what is for me. And so I think that's the process that I'm in now, where it's like I get to decide what my life is going to look like, and that comes with deciding the beliefs that I want to abide by, and like, instead of listening to all of the external sources of people telling you this is how you should operate, this is how the world should be, this is how, everything, it goes down to like the deepest core levels. Like, you have to decide for yourself first what it is that you want and what you want to see, and then everything else after that can start to come in. But if we don't have that true foundation, you're kind of just like shooting at a blank wall, or shoot, you know what I mean? So that's, I kind of resonate with both of that, where it's like, okay, I'm being bumped around, and I know that there's a deep calling within me to like go out and be and make a difference, and I'm still figuring out what that looks like, but
Yeah, I think that's so much a part of the yin way. Again, the darkness is, we're so used to there being some sort of plan. Like in the business world, you create like sometimes even a 5-year, 10-year vision, and you could pretty much like stick to that. Like back in, Tim, in your time, like
Yep.
that would give us a sense of safety and security and a sense of vision, and we can follow that. And okay, with the yin coming in, it's just darkness. So it's like we have to lead from presence, from the present moment. We can maybe have a general idea of where we think we want to go, but it's like allowing ourselves to show up in the moment, say, oh, this has changed, this is different, and not really sticking to a plan. And how do we navigate as leaders from that space? What does that look like? Not basically leading into the darkness and trusting. Joanne, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it really resonated with me, because in the Army we used to say, those who plan to fail, those who fail to plan plan to fail, but no plan survives first contact ever. So I think for me, the practices of human garage and meditation, I feel like I shift up my energy. I don't want to save anybody in the world, but I think Aisha can attest to the amount of energy I had in, and I still have, because I feel my deep practice with yoga and human garage, which to me is an advanced, practice, enables me to control my energy. Clearly defining my environment and boundaries. But when I get to that place, I don't want to do anything. I just shine like a lighthouse. Like I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it for no other reason. I guess the Hathor energy, so when I act from that place, I'm doing it because I love to do it. I feel like I'm not pushing or forcing anything anymore. I'm just going with the flow of what I feel and lights up my heart. So that's me.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody?
And I think there's a fun element of all of that, no? Because also within that type of energy, comes a little bit of playfulness and lightness within that dark. Otherwise, we never will get out of that. It will just get heavier and heavier and heavier. Because it's like we make the choice. We still have to actually go out there and test it. Like if it was a new pair of shoes, it's like, do I actually like them? Because they look so pretty, in the like when you see them on store, and then you walk on them and you're like, I actually, this is very uncomfortable. My feet is not happy. And, like a lot of times we'll create an identity, a choice, a belief, a partnership, a business. And even if you have worked so hard for something, that when it's actually alive and you make that choice and you start testing and trying it, it's also valid to say, but what if I tweak here? What if I actually don't like what I created? And it was just the beauty that came with learning and the failure part that actually is getting me ready for my next success or my next thing. Or is that phase that you go through for 7 years where you're being like, what you say, a hurricane or like a storm inside?
Hurricane.
Hurricane. And you can still go out and be like, but even each hurricane has an eye in the middle when there's calmness. And when you get to still catch a breath again and being like, let's dance with this freaking wind now. I'm gonna be flexible and adaptable. And as everything, it's constant change. And that we can be kind with change. Because at least for me, in a lot of moments in my life, I have been so strict with my commitments in the sense of, but I decided this, but I committed to that, but I said I was going to do this, so now I have to do it. And then being like, oh shit, I can't change my course. But I have learned now to have a level of kindness to say yes. And you can also be honest and truthful and giving and find a way to either say no, shift it, transform something, pass it on, and like grow through that. Understanding that it might just not be for you anymore, because who you were 6 months ago is not who you are today. And is definitely you're not going to be in 6 months from now. So there's a fun element that could also come, or lightness with that darkness, I feel.
Absolutely.
I agree and align. And I love the aspect of play, because even in the midst of professionalism and people perceiving the serious nature of things, and I think with mission-driven people trying to make positive impact, there shouldn't be necessarily a lack of seriousness, but there should be a play with this dynamic, constant evolution that Aisha was describing. And I think it's also just a worth it way to go about it. So you can emanate like Joanne, you know, who's smiling ear to ear every time I see her and talk with her. And it's not because she hasn't lacked serious experience or understanding, but almost that she's been able to overcome the superficial elements of them and seek the enjoyment, which can lie in the depths. And I spend a lot of time in the ocean and I surf, and there's obviously a lot of yin energy in the ocean. And initially, philosophically, I got into surfing, and it aligned on behalf of, especially for a young man, to be in an environment that you were forced to listen to, because the ocean's coming no matter what you perceive yourself to be or your ego or whatever. You have to develop this listening to energy. And so there's power in that. And then another ocean analogy is at the surface is where a lot of the chaos lies. And I do a lot of practice breathing and going to the bottom, the ocean floor. And you'll find that the surface can have a lot of chaos and a lot of tension and a lot of resistance, and it can be hard to breathe. But when you go to the bottom, when you go beneath that surface element of the ocean, there's actually relief, there's calmness there. And it's not without pressure, because pressure builds as you go deeper, but there's also a quietude and a calmness in that. And again, not to connect everything to the ocean, but your perception in many times is what gets you into trouble when it comes to ocean, you know, like drowning, for example. Drowning in the ocean is typically because people don't remain calm and they overexert unnecessary energy rather than, you know, allowing themselves to maintain calm, assessing the way in which the ocean is moving and allowing themselves to almost work with that energy to move themselves out. It's people who tend to lack experience there that then panic, that then overexert, that then run into problems. So I just love the idea of being able to play. And especially when we look at business, like a lot of, you know, money and numbers, they're games, and it's a fun, that's how I like to look at business, you know, and you develop plans according to the game aligned with the mission and ideally your authentic energy. But you're playing, you know, and that's an essence that I believe we tend to forget, especially as we enter into adulthood and self-identify with X, Y, and Z. And so I love that, you know, you bring that playfulness and that kindness and that fun to it. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's a worth it way to go about it anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah, very beautiful. I love your ocean metaphor. Actually, our mentor who studied with the Maharishi used to speak about that, going to the bottom of the ocean to hit those depths. And I love too, I just saw the synchronicity of like the pressure that occurs when we allow ourselves to go to the depth. A lot of people might perceive pressure as a bad thing, but actually, like, that's one of the fundamentals with fascial maneuvers, is creating pressure to make movement. And so I love that you brought that in. Beautiful.
I just want to speak to the playfulness that you were sharing, Mark, because it's one of the things that I've seen in you, Aisha, over time. You know, whether we've known each other for a short or a long period of time, I've kind of witnessed that playfulness come out of you when it comes to making mistakes or not knowing the right thing to do, right, or the right word to say, or whatever, coming from, you know, another language. It's how have you learned how to kind of cultivate that? Well, I'm just gonna like laugh it off and keep moving, because I think that's one of the best skills that you can have, is like being playful and curious with yourself and not getting overly critical, and just say, okay, we're gonna shift paths, right? I'm just gonna, like, you know, let out a little bit of emotion, a little bit of laughs, and then just go. And it, you know, you don't get overly like too caught up in the moment about it. You just keep flowing. Like, how have you developed that?
That's a good question. I don't think I have ever been asked that. It was a lot. I used to be my worst enemy and the worst judge, and I was the best at self-destroying, self-sabotage, like a pro. And I think it came to a point where I was always waiting to have somebody in my corner, or like wishing that somebody was going to be there for me and kind of like gently slap me and be like, what are you doing? Like, and, give me a list of compliments or things good about me. And I think for many years, I found myself that corner empty because I went too fast a lot of times or in too many places. So it came to a point that I realized that the only person in that corner was me. And if I wanted to keep playing and stay in the game and go back for a next round and all of that, I was going to have to learn how to be that, like, not cheerleader, but that person that will bet on me, for me, and find a way to do it in a way that gives permission other people that maybe feel the same way, that maybe feel or have been alone in the corners, to say, it doesn't have to be that freaking hard. Like, we don't have to be that hard on ourselves. There's too many situations already that can create that. And I kind of like had to create that lightness within me first, to being like, I'm never going to achieve my own standards. They're insane. I must well, play. And when I was a kid, I used to love role playing. I used to, dress up and perform for my stuffed animals and for my brothers. And then I will charge my family I will like write a play or something and like put on a whole show in the house in one of the rooms. And I will invite the neighbors, my family, everybody, and charge them like 10 pesos to come in to watch it, no? And like, oh no, I was not going to give my talent for free at that time.
That's awesome.
No, so then I was like, I know how to do that. I know how to just play. And it's natural in a way. So I kind of went back to that and started just getting creative. Like, I don't like to do the same thing. I don't like to say the same thing. I don't like to memorize. I don't like to explain technical stuff. Like, I don't enjoy it. Can I do it? Yes. Is it my forte? No. So it's like, I rather play where I enjoy it. So, in my last company, I almost quit. And it's the first time in my life that I have ever quit in a company, because they keep on telling me that my accent, and I'm like, I have worked with over 4,000 clients. Has anybody complained about my accent? No. And I'm like, I have the best ratings of all of the people in it. But like, they keep on telling me, until your accent is not less strong, we can't give you this gig or like this client or that. And I was like, you do know that, from Modern Family, Sofia Vergara is one of the best paid actresses in the TV because of her accent. I mean, so like that keep on being like something that it put me down for a very long time. And it made me very uncomfortable with speaking a different language. And I'm talking 4 years ago, not like 10. Until I was like, I have the ability to communicate in multiple languages compared to other people. I'm going to use that as a skill and as a kind of like permission to say, oops, I forgot that body part, and actually use it into my advantage of saying, I forgot that organ. And just say it in Spanish or whatever.
And it worked.
And it works. I mean, it works because I don't see it as something that disables me anymore. I truly see it as a superpower. I see it as something that makes me good, where people can say, she can fuck it up and she's the one teaching. I can do it too.
Yeah.
And I feel that in a way has given permission to a lot of people, and I hope it does, to say, I don't have to be perfect to try. I don't have to be perfect to lead. I don't have to know all of the answers. I can turn around and literally say, I don't know. How does it feel? Like, you give me the answer. So I think it was just that I learned to be in my own corner and turn it into a game, turn that creativity into a game and into something that felt light, and all of my flaws or all of my, what other people will say, like your issues, turn them into something that make me more human, more approachable, more real in a way. Yeah.
Oh, love that. Yeah, I think that's the biggest change that I see happening, like with these conversations and people realizing, like, I can't keep doing things the way they were done before, whether they're, we're realizing the stories we're telling ourselves and that are limiting us, or, making us feel like we're less than, and just owning the value, as you said, Joanne, to just let your heart shine and bring that playfulness. And we're all children of the earth. That sound, it's just what we are, and we're not meant to be perfect human beings. That I think in our culture we've sort of been conditioned to be like, we have to be kind of all the same and check the boxes. And more people are being liberated because they're doing fascial maneuvers or presence or whatever their thing is that's allowing them to liberate their body. It's liberating their expression. And all the boxes are being shattered right now, which can seem like chaos. Like, as you point out, there's actually something beautiful happening, and it's a little bit messy in the beginning as we're sort of navigating what this new world looks like. But the beauty, the lightness that is coming through the dark is something that I'm just so passionate to talk about.
Absolutely. And I think there's also, especially in what Aisha was describing, an authenticity, which is allowing yourself to not necessarily follow, the expected guidelines, but to actually infuse your authenticity, to view challenges as opportunities, which is a mindset, I believe. But also it's an opportunity for what you described, Aisha, for you to infuse your authenticity, which I think is very empowering and inspiring to people, especially coming from a leader, and obviously accepting that essence of non-perfectionism, but more of curiosity and authentic expression. And I believe that style and approach, not only in regards to leading, but it's also a really effective way for people to learn. And especially as adults, there's some reasons, neurologically, why children may learn in different ways than adults. But also, I believe that play essence is a big part of the learning process. And I also practice a lot of martial arts, and I've been fortunate to have teachers who have understood and have started to accept this method of teaching, which is allowing more games to take place in the technical processing. So, if you teach someone something and you teach it to them and they only learn it in a certain way, but now you teach them this, you create a certain level of parameters like a game, and then you allow them to go play with it. And that natural inquisition and curiosity and, authentic expression allows people to typically find more effective applications. And in a sport like jiu-jitsu, which I practiced, there's a certain teaching and learning. There's a model that certain practitioners have been utilizing where they implement play and games into their training. I forget exactly what the technical term is, but they're seeing incredible results in a very technical sport, but it's dynamic. And so, and also the techniques needs to be applied again to what works best for you. So I think there's a lot of interconnections there, which yields yin in regards to authentic expression amidst parameters, like a game.
Yeah.
I just have to comment on that because I also love the ocean. I love that you find joy in the ocean. I'm a sailor, and you cannot control the winds, but you can control your sheets. The research shows that men especially young boys, teenage boys, do better learning through competition, but girls do better learning through games and cooperation. So, Mark, what you're expressing is an emergence of the feminine energy of, playfulness in a world that was more imbalanced towards the masculine and was competition driven. So I love that. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Well said.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the most elite competitors in the world are understanding that the training model was imbalanced and not serving their performance. So it's interesting that you introduced that as well.
I find the contrast here is just absolutely amazing. I so appreciate listening to each and every one of you talk about more of a yin orientation. I'm being bombarded by the reality that I've spent most of my life convincing men and women who act like men to actually learn how to make a whole pile of money by just burning the place down, and who gives a crap about anybody else, and just keep on pushing. And I was the oddball through this. And this is just, I've never been in company of this many people ever who actually are all aligned in the orientation and that needs to take place. And so this is really helping me as well, at least try to get a trajectory as to what to expect 2027 and forward, because my sense prior to this conversation is that chaos is it's just likely to be brutal, because that's all I've experienced in turnaround situations in large organizations. And they don't really care about that because they care about the money. And I think that that's not going to be anywhere close to enough as we move forward to 2027, 2028, 2030. And this is a really, really interesting, amazing discussion about alternative frames of reference to be able to look at life and then look at performance through a presence, I guess, frame of reference. But anyway, I just needed to say something because I feel like I've got my mouth open and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm checking, these are real people. These are not avatars talking here. Like this is crazy. This is really, really good to be really, really clear. I think this is amazing.
I see the Tim, that because we talk about this often, the challenges that you had in the business world, sort of being ahead of your times, teaching people presence in business spaces, and go inside, change your inner world, and your outer world performance will change, and the resistance that you met in that space. And what I sense in these changing times is aligning to people who have the same vision and the same values, and I think a big part of this is like chaos maybe, but if everyone has a perspective of beauty and realizing like, oh, we're learning a new way of coming into community and collaborating together, and like, okay, it might be messy, but if we have fun with it, then it'll be fun. It'll be a fun, juicy mess, and to open, like to continually shed and like let go of what it used to be and how the world used to be, and allow ourselves to be wowed and like curious about what the future can look like with so many aligned people. And you know, women coming together, especially, I always make a joke, like women can get shit done. Like, there are so many women doing like their little magic that, that we just haven't valued, that the unseen work as a society. We haven't valued what that is. So a lot of people don't even know that it's there because they don't have the eyes to see it. But the way I see it is there's this like beautiful, just like web coming up and be like, yeah, we're good. We're building something new. Like, yeah, it might be unknown, but like we're all supported here. So yeah.
This well, like attracts like. I mean, this is an obvious thing to state, but you have to stay in that stance. And staying in that stance amidst crazy seems to me that's something that's much easier done with the help of fascial maneuvers and everything else that goes with that. So yeah, this is an eye opener. I really appreciate this.
Awesome.
Oh, Tim, you're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, on the Atlantic Ocean. You appeared, I could be wrong, to spend most of your life in a very male-dominated, trying to bring some of that feminine. I spent my whole life as a woman around army men trying to be men because I felt they had all the power. So I think it's just indication that the planet is rebalancing, and
Yeah.
in every
Yeah.
chaos, there's huge opportunity. So I just found a lot of delight in that. Thank you, Tim.
Well, you're welcome. It can be quite entertaining, and I don't even know it.
That's beautiful. I love that observation. As
I
we
think,
come to, please go.
Richard? Yeah. I think just, before we start to come to a close, I kind of wanted to invite that. And we spoke about this earlier, or a couple days ago, Sarah, when you had asked me about the rise of yin, like what I thought about it. But I think one thing to note is that, Tim, there's a lot more of us out there than you think. And I think this
Yeah.
huge entrepreneurial boom that has been happening over the last 10, 15 years or whatever is people pulling out of the traditional giant organizational structures that are now starting to crumble a little
Yeah.
more. And it's like people realize, oh, I can do so much more that's actually aligned with my energy. And then now they're starting to realize, well, I can do so much more than that if I start to align with all the other people that are doing that, which is where the collaboration piece comes in.
That's very cool.
And
that's very cool.
Yeah, it's just cool to think about, okay, how can we all use each other's strengths and to develop a world that is actually going to value the whole, the collective, right? This is the yin aspect that's coming in, where it's like everybody has not only just a voice, but everyone has our participation in it. And so that's where you start to get more of that, the collaboration piece that I think is just it's gonna shape a new world. It really is. I'll just leave it at that. But
I agree.
Yes.
Agreed. Yeah, I think there's a lot of power, and obviously not only the internal energy, but the shared, the resonant energy, and the collective energy that's starting to form. And I feel it being in this conversation, as you mentioned, Tim, having so many powerful, like-minded individuals in a space. That's, to me, one of the most inspiring things to experience. And I had the great pleasure of being invited last minute to wellness mentorship, wellness leadership, like professional networking and mentorship event last weekend. And there was a lot of professionals in regenerative wellness, and I had the same experience. And this was an in-person thing, which was also very powerful to experience and to understand that there are so many people, intelligent, powerful people who share similar vision and mission. And one of the speakers, John Asseroff, he was featured in The Secret. He's been a successful business entrepreneur, and he spoke, and very powerful speaker, but he gave an analogy on waves, which is fitting. And this was it represented my experience. And he described how the mechanisms of waves, and how if a 10-foot wave meets a 5-foot wave, it dissipates. But when a 10-foot wave meets another 10-foot wave at just the right time, their energies magnify and they create a 20-foot wave. And so when I first heard that initially, I'm tough on myself, as Aisha mentioned. I initially was like, oh gosh, I don't want to be the 5-foot wave that dissipates 10-foot wave energy. But over the weekend of connecting and collaborating with so many like-minded individuals, I was empowered to feel myself as a 10-foot wave, and excited and inspired to connect with other 10-foot wave individuals to make 20-foot wave impacts. And I think that, to me, felt like what Sam was just describing and what's currently happening in this rise of the yin, which non-coincidentally is very connected to water and ocean energy. And so that's like the vision that's been on my mind the past week since I left that workshop, was this like find the 10-foot waves, collide with other 10-foot wave individuals and make that 20-foot wave impact.
And I have to say something.
Yes,
we had an
please.
expert Egyptologist who took us through all the temples, and I was feeling a little down about the suppression of the feminine. He looked at me and he said, Joanne, we know that this civilization is 5,000 years old for sure. It's not. It's at least 27,000 years old, and we're simply going through a cycle. So I don't think any of us can take ourselves too seriously, because it's literally a cycle that we're all just part of the unfolding of, which brought me so much peace and joy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I love that you brought that big perspective here. Like we're just moving through cycles. Tim, please go ahead.
Well, this is just very, again, I feel like I'm coming out of some, whatever. I'm in some cocoon for a bit, or quite a long time now. And this has really been way over the top in terms of what I was hoping for, just to get some sense of, to have this many people talking in alignment from a frequency standpoint, not just what you're talking about, but just where it's this big wave with huge depth. I don't think I've been around that for quite a while. So I'll be replaying this baby. That's for sure. Yeah, this is great.
I think that's such a powerful message to sort of end on, that when we do go into our hermit mode, as we do when we're going, through these changes and getting to know our authentic nature, it can feel like we are the darkness in the dark, and forget that we are actually the light exploring the darkness. And if we're just in our hermit and only seeing that, we sort of can forget, or maybe not even realize that there's this beautiful world emerging. And that's what I'm taking away with this conversation. And if anybody else wants to share anything that they're taking away from this conversation, I'd love to hear it before we close up for today.
I think, I don't know. I'm still really thriving off of this. Like, I'm going to be in my own corner. But Aisha was saying, it's just like, do I want to be the opponent on the other side of the ring, or do I want to be the coach that's actually going to help me fuel and get to the place that I want to go? And then do it. Once you do that, then like, how many other coaches step in? How many other people start to come into your corner? And it just really hit me when you said you were waiting for somebody to come, and no one ever did. And so, I think just understanding that we can be our own cheerleader, our own empowerment, our own coach, whatever it is, So I think, that's what really is sticking for me. Thank you.
And if I can add one thing to your sharing, Sam, and also knowing that there's a lot more, kind of like what Tim was saying, out there of us. And when we start being responsible for ourselves also, and I think I shared this with Sarah in Mexico, it also gives us the privilege and the capacity to take care of the people to our right and to our left, and start coming together. Because, through life, we're taught to compete, and it's a whole different muscle to collaborate.
Yeah.
No, but when you start building that responsibility, that security, that ownership within you, and you're not the person fighting anymore, but you are actually the coach in your own corner, you get to say, okay, I can take more, I can do this more, I can coach more people, come here, and suddenly you want to collaborate, you want to come together, you have like words of inspiration and like for others, because we are done fighting. And I don't know, for me, it just took me a minute to learn from going from competing to collaborating, and understanding that once we stand with that flag, people can know what we stand for, and we start finding each other. No, we start coming together. We start saying like, "Ooh, that is so weird like me. Oh, they believe in that also. Ooh, they hydrogen their water. My people, oh, I know those type of shoes. Those are air runners." And like, you start finding, the people around you, where now we just want to be together. Even if we don't know each other or anything, suddenly you feel you have something in common, and it's, we got this. Like, we can do this because we believe in the same beliefs, kind of thing. So I just wanted to like add that part to it.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That is so beautiful. The spirit of humanity is strong. And hearing that and broadcasting that, it's a part of what Flow Network is here to be, that lighthouse when the mainstream news doesn't show this side of things, but we are many, many millions more than the evil on this planet. And, just realizing that, okay, like, everything's a mirror in my life. There's been a little inner battle in me too. I've been my worst inner critic, my worst judge, and meeting that within myself and bringing love and compassion, and then watching your whole world change. And the whole world is changing. And I want to thank all of you so much for bringing your presence here and your love and your passion for the future and for the now. And thank you all so very much. It feels really beautiful to be opening these roundtables again. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.